We are listening Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. Talk 77 now. The Master, while referring to the Bible for "Be still and know that I am God," Psalm 46, found in the Ecclesiastes. There is one alone, and there is no second, and the wise man's heart is at the right hand, and a fool's heart is at the left. Talk 78. A man from Masula asked the Master that how to realize the self. Ramana Maharshi said, everyone has experience of the self every moment of his life. Then that devotee said that, but the self is not realized as one would like. Maharshi said, yes, the present experience is viparit, different from real. What is not is confounded with what is. Then that devotee said, how to find the Atma? Maharshi said, there is no investigation into the Atma. The investigation can only be into the non-Atma or non-self. Elimination of the non-self is alone possible. The self, being always self-evident, will shine forth of itself. Then Maharshi said further that the self is called by different names: Atma, God, Kundalini, Mantra, etc. Hold any one of them and the self becomes manifest. God is no other than the self. Kundalini is now showing forth as the mind. When the mind is traced to its source, it is Kundalini. Mantra Japa leads to elimination of other thoughts and to concentration on the mantra. The mantra finally merges into the self and shines forth as the self. Then the devotee asked that how long is a guru necessary for self-realization? Maharshi said, Guru is necessary so long as there is the Laghu. Laghu is due to the self-imposed but wrong limitation of the self. God, on being worshipped, bestows steadiness in devotion which leads to surrender. On the devotee surrendering, God shows his mercy by manifesting as the Guru. The Guru, otherwise God, guides the devotee, saying that God is in you and He is the Self. This leads to introversion of the mind and finally to realization. Effort is necessary up to the state of realization. Even then, the self should spontaneously become evident. Otherwise, happiness will not be complete. Up to that state of spontaneity, there must be effort in some form or the other. Then the devotee asks that our work a day life is not compatible with such efforts. Maharshi said, why do you think that you are active? Take the gross example of your arrival here. You left home in a cart, took train, alighted at the railway station here, got into a cart there and found yourself in this ashram. When asked, you say that you traveled here all the way from your town. Is it true? Is it not a fact that you remained as you were and there were movements of conveyances all along the way? Just as those movements are confounded with your own, so also the other activities, they are not your own, they are God's activities. Then that devotee said, such idea will lead to the blankness of mind and the work will not progress well. Ramana Maharshi said, go up to that blankness and tell me afterwards. The devotee said, they say that a visit to sages help self-realization. Ramana Maharshi said, yes, it does. Will not my present visit to you bring it about? Maharshi, after a short pause, said, what is to be brought about and to whom? Consider this and investigate. To whom is this doubt? If the source is traced, the doubt will disappear. Talk 79. An engineer asked that the animals seem to conform to their own natural laws in spite of their environment and changes, whereas man flouts social law and is not bound by any definite system. He seems to be degenerating, whereas the animals are steady. Is it not so? Ramana Maharshi, after a long time, said, the Upanishads and scriptures say that human beings are only animals unless they are realized beings. Possibly human beings are worse also. Talk 80. A very devoted and simple disciple had lost his only son, a child of 3 years. The next day, he arrived at the ashram with his family. The master spoke with reference to them. Master said, training of mind helps one to bear sorrows and bereavements with courage. But the loss of one's offspring is said to be the worst of all griefs. Grief exists only so long as one considers oneself to be of a definite form. If the form is transcended, one will know that the oneself is eternal. There is no death, no birth. That which is born is only the body. The body is the creation of the ego. But the ego is not ordinary perceived without the body. It is always identified with the body. It is the thought which matters. Let the sensible man consider if he knew his body in deep sleep. Why does he feel it in the waking state? But although the body was not felt in sleep, did not the self exist then? How was he in deep sleep? How is he when awake? What is the difference? Ego rises up, and that is waking. Simultaneously, thoughts arise. Let him find out to whom are the thoughts. Wherefrom do they arise? They must spring up from the conscious self. Apprehending it even vaguely helps the extension of the ego. Thereafter, the realization of the one infinite existence becomes possible. In that state, there are no individuals other than the eternal existence. Hence, there is no thought of death or wailing. If a man considers he is born, he cannot avoid the fear of death. Let him find out if he has been born or if the self has any birth. Then he will discover that the self always exists, that the body which is born resolves itself into thought, and that the emergence of thought is the root of all mischief. Find wherefrom thoughts emerge. Then you will abide in the ever-present inmost self and be free from the idea of birth or the fear of death. Then a disciple asked how to do it. Ramana Maharshi said, "The thoughts are only vasanas, predispositions accumulated in innumerable births before. Their annihilation is the aim. The state free from vasanas is the primal state and the eternal state of purity." Then the devotee said, "It is not clear yet." Maharshi said, "Everyone is aware of the eternal self. He sees so many dying but still believes himself eternal because it is the truth. Unwillingly, the natural truth asserts itself. The man is deluded by the intermingling of the conscious self with the insentient body. This delusion must end." The devotee then asks, "How will it end actually?" Maharshi replied, "That which is born must end. The delusion is only concomitant with the ego. It rises up, it sinks. But the reality never rises nor sinks. It remains as it is, eternal. The master who has realized says so. The disciple hears thinks over the words and realizes the self. There are two ways of putting it. The ever present self needs no efforts to be realized. Realization is already there. Illusion alone is to be removed. Some say the word from the mouth of the master removes it instantaneously. Others say that meditation, etc., are necessary for realization. Both are right. Only the standpoints differ. The devotee then asked, "Is Dhyana necessary?" Maharshi said, "The Upanishads say that even the earth is in eternal Dhyana." Then the devotee asked, "How does karma help it? Will it not add to the already heavy load to be removed?" Maharshi said, "Karma done unselfishly purifies the mind and helps to fix it in meditation." Devotee then said, "What if one meditates incessantly without karma?" Maharshi said, "Try and see it. The Vasanas will not let you do it. Dhyana comes only step by step with the gradual weakening of the Vasanas by the grace of the Master." Talk 81. Dr. Bernhard Bay, an American chemist who had interested himself in Vedanta for the last 20 years, now in India, came on a visit to the Master. He asked, "How is Abhyasa to be made?" "I am trying to find the light." He himself explained Abhyasa as concentration, one-pointedness of the mind. The Master asked, "What was his Abhyasa till now?" The visitor said, "He concentrated on the nasal base, but his mind wandered." Maharshi then asked, "Is there a mind?" Then another devotee gently put in and said, "The mind is only a collection of thoughts." Maharshi said, "To whom are the thoughts? If you try to locate the mind vanishes and the self alone remains. Being alone, there can be no one-pointedness or otherwise." The devotee said, "It is so difficult to understand this. If something concrete is said, it can be readily grasped. Japa, Dhyana, etc. are more concrete." On this, Maharshi said, "Who am I is the best japa. What could be more concrete than the self? It is within each one's experience every moment. Why should one try to catch anything outside living out the self? Let each one try to find out the unknown self instead of searching for the unknown something beyond." Devotee said, "Where shall I meditate on the Atma? I mean, in which part of the body?" Maharshi said, "The self should manifest itself. That is all that is wanted. Then the devotee gently added, on the right of the chest there is the heart, the seat of Atman. The elimination is in that center when the self is realized. Maharshi on this said, quite so. Then the devotee asked how to turn the mind away from the world. Ramana Maharshi said, is there a world? I mean, apart from the self, does the world say that it exists? It is you who say that there is a world. Find out the self who says it. Talk 82. A question was raised about the differences in the various samadhis. Maharshi said, when the senses are merged in darkness, it is deep sleep. When merged in light, it is samadhi. Just as a passenger, when asleep in a carriage, is unaware of the motion, the halting or the unharnessing of the horses, so also a jnani in Sahaja Samadhi is unaware of the happenings, waking, dream, sleep. Here sleep corresponds to the unharnessing of the horses. And Samadhi corresponds to the halting of the horses. Because the senses are ready to act just as the horses are ready to move after halting. Maharshi said further that in Samadhi, the head does not bend down because the senses are there though inactive, whereas the head bends down in sleep because the senses are immersed in darkness. In Kevala Samadhi, the activities, vital and mental, waking, dream, sleep, are only merged, ready to emerge after regaining the state other than Samadhi. In Sahaja Samadhi, the activities, vital and mental, and the three states are destroyed, never to reappear. However, others notice the jnani active, eating, talking, moving, etc. He is not himself aware of these activities, whereas others are aware of his activities. They pertain to his body and not to his real self or swarupa. For himself, he is like the sleeping passenger or like a child interrupted from sound sleep and fed, being unaware of it. The child says the next day that he did not take milk at all and that he went to sleep without it. Even when reminded, he cannot be convinced, so also in Sahaja Samadhi. Sushumna, Paralina. Here, Sushumna refers to Tapomarg, whereas the Para Nadi refers to the Jnana Marg. Talk 83. The master, relating some stories of the Bhaktas, told how Sri Krishna served Eknath for 12 years, how Panduranga relieved Sakkubai from her home prison and enabled her to visit Pandharpur. Then he recollected the appearance of a mysterious Moulvi on his way from Madurai to Tiruvannamalai in 1896, how he appeared, spoke, and disappeared suddenly. Talk 84. Mr. Grant Duff asked the master if any mongoose had anything to do with him. The master said, yes, it was the occasion of Ardra Jayanti. I was living up the hill in Skanda Ashram, and streams of visitors were climbing up the hill from the town. A mongoose, larger than the ordinary size, of the golden hue, not grey as the mongoose is, with no black spot on its tail as is usual with the wild mongoose, passed these crowds fearlessly. People took it to be a tame one belonging to someone in the crowd. The animal went straight to Palaniswami, who was having a bath in the spring by the Virupaksha cave. He stroked the creature and patted it. It followed him into the cave, inspected every nook and corner, and left the place and joined the crowd to pass up to Skanda Ashram. I noticed it. Everyone was struck by its attractive appearance and its fearless movements. It came up to me also, got on my lap, rested there some time. Then it raised itself up, looked about, and moved down. It went around the whole place, and I followed it, lest it should be harmed by the unwary visitors or by the peacocks. Two peacocks of the place looked at it inquisitively, whereas the mongoose moved nonchalantly from place to place and finally disappeared into the rocks of the southeast of the ashram. Talk 85. The same gentleman asked the master about the material relation between memory and will and their relation to the mind. Maharshi said, they are functions of the mind. The mind is the outcome of the ego, and the ego is from the self. Talk 86. The Master then gave the true significance of the Christian faith, telling, Christ is the ego, the cross is the body. When the ego is crucified and it perishes, what survives is the absolute being that is God. As is said, I and my Father are one. And this glorious survival is called resurrection. Hope. Peace is around. Thanks for listening. We take a pause now.